Jimmy Lewis.
And I'm Cooper Luke.
And we're with Dirt Bike Test. Today we're talking about Honda's 2022, or actually multiple years because they don't really change this bike a whole lot, CRF250F. And F stands for what?
Fun.
Fun. I think Honda calls it family, but it's actually Honda's largest play bike. So the F line is kind of play bikes. They start with the little 50s and they have 80s and 100s and 110s and lots of sizes. But this is the big one. The play bikes are not competition bikes. They're really designed to last forever. Really tough, indestructible bikes, but they have basically all the big bike features. You know, it has a clutch, has a multi-speed transmission, disc brakes on this one. So when we go to changes, this is an all new bike from the oldest CRF 230. The amazing thing, this thing weighs
pretty light. It's 260 pounds.
Well, that's not light. That's actually heavy. But it's 4 pounds heavier than the old one. And we'll get to what that translates into the riding. But it has really good looks. It looks like the race bikes. And in fact, we shot some photos and you kind of can't tell other than you see a conventional fork sticking out of the front.
Yeah.
And the fork is about the only thing that I recognize as far as parts off the old one. New frame, new muffler. The fuel injection is huge. Oh, the tires are the same. They're running the Pirelli Scorpions, which are really good, long-lasting tires, in our opinion. So, onto the power. It's a 250cc air-cooled 4-stroke, fuel-injected, and the nice thing about it is it's just exactly like a KTM 300 TPI bike.
Yeah, it's got lugging power. It's pretty good. It won't get you in trouble, though, how much power it has.
You're going to agree with me on that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between this and a KTM 300?
300's got a lot more
it has
power.
A ton of power. The big difference when I say that, it has the characteristics of, has the characteristics of a really smooth
trail bike, I would say.
Trail bike, yeah. It starts down low, it's chug. This thing's like a tractor.
Yeah.
On the low end, you can feel it just chug, chug, chug. It smoothly pulls up. It revs out really good.
Yep.
Doesn't make a whole lot of power. But the good thing about that is there's not enough power to get you in trouble.
Yeah, like we were riding this today and it felt pretty good, but it's good for a beginner, if you would say, because it won't get you in bad trouble like a 300 would.
Exactly. It's really easy to have too much power. You have a KTM 300 XC and you know about getting in trouble with extra power. But there's enough to get the job done and generally not too much to cause problems. It's the kind of power that kind of shows you as a rider, it teaches you to use the power that you need and not too much to cause problems. Kind of the opposite of what everybody generally does. They buy something with too much power and then they wonder why they struggle so much. But super predictable, easy to use. I thought the clutch and the transmission all seemed like it worked pretty good. I would hear you guys like take off a gear too high and you could get out with the clutch.
Yep.
It never wanted to stall. You know, the fuel injection spot on. That's the good characteristics. Onto the suspension, and it's kind of exactly what you would expect. What did it do when you jumped it?
It bottomed out pretty good.
And you're used to jumping.
Yeah, I'm used to jumping.
Kids just want to jump everything. But other than that,
yeah, it felt good. All on the bumps and whoops, it felt good.
It's kind of, I won't say that it's springy. It's springier than what you would expect on a competition bike. It moves around, but it's supple. It's comfortable. So if you're riding down like fire roads or, bumpy little trails and stuff and you're not like racing it, it's going to perform really well. Kind of keeps the tires on the ground, doesn't do anything awkward. But if you send it, it's going to bottom. Yeah. That's what these bikes do. And as you're growing into it, I always think it's good to have a bike that bottoms out because it teaches you, hey, you're going a little bit too fast. You're either good at it's time for a better bike, grow into it. But suspension is pretty standard, not really that adjustable. Gets the job done. Onto the handling, and this is where I was the most surprised with this bike.
Yeah.
It feels light.
It does feel light, way more than the 230, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, the 230 actually weighs 4 pounds less.
Yeah.
And so this is 260 pounds like we said earlier, but you hop on it and it feels like a 220-pound motorcycle.
It does, yep.
And I don't know what they did to the handling. It just gave it this more agile feel.
Yep.
And kind of combined with the power, the power is peppy enough to get the bike to do what you need to do. It's a easy to ride, comfortable, peppy. Yeah, when you tip it over, which a couple of guys tipped it over a few times, maybe, then you feel the weight when you go to pick it up. It's a little bit of a heavier bike. So other than that, I think all the controls are in the right spots. Honda has good ergonomics. Seems to last pretty well. We did manage to peel the side panel off of it in one of our videos during shooting the videos. We don't know how, but it seems to be pretty good, durable. What's your conclusion?
God, this bike's fun. It definitely teaches you what you're doing wrong on a bike as far as out of balance and everything. I really like it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. He says, I wanted to put more time in this because I'm learning a lot riding this motorcycle. So, and that's coming from a guy who has a KTM 300XC.
Yep.
I was really impressed, like I said, with the lightweight handling, the power delivery. It's like they just took that old 230 and made it a lot better. And we have a couple of them as rental bikes in our fleet, so I like putting people on those bikes. This is an even better package, and I think Honda's done a really good job.